Hi, this is Smarty MC. This is Smarter Than Trauma, and I do have my voice back, so I'll be explaining everything while managing chronic pain and speech, which is why I continue to just talk. First, it was to cover up the PTSD noise, which you'll hear. It's much faster, and also to cover up the fact that I do have a bit of a speech disorder, which the only people who knew were the board members. Otherwise, you don't really hear it. That's why I've been able to let it out in those spaces, because I had to. This was the longest I've ever been in front of technology. I've never used Zoom before. I didn't really have my last name and certainly wasn't on video. I never did the video, only did it for a handful of times and then stopped around the time of the part-time interview. And all of this is the result of the 3 mental abuses, which is the denial of the equal rights of my students, for example. Those are kids with special needs, the betrayal, and the abandonment of those in power that take advantage of others. And they just enjoy doing it. They get off on it because they just change their narrative and they lie. So you have to be honest. And if survivor, victims, and patients can talk freely without feeling worse or targeted or, who knows, exposed, then would they have done it to begin with? I think not. So let's make sure all survivor, victims, patients have a platform so we can stop trauma. That's my big idea, to put away the words they used, which I will now have to describe. Thank you.
So there's a couple things I'd like to correct because I am a school teacher and you know my voice really well because we talked a lot about politics, right? Ooh, and that energy and that passion. So let me be very clear. That energy and passion was brought to you by the PTSD of somebody absolutely using deception and manipulation to get me to assist with somebody's education, continual, and look at this, the failure of the school system. What, they lost skills in writing? How did they lose skills in writing? And now I'm being asked to tutor again. Really? Was this because there was another paper due? Was it a bother? It did bother me, absolutely. This is the reality of this community and the way you guys think. But what you actually did was literally let the PTSD out because that was the whole issue with that school. So you don't know somebody's history and past. So when you are confronted with a choice, you might live to regret it. So the conversation is being offered to you privately out of respect. Using the internet to show you how serious I am. And the reason I know this work is because on LinkedIn, 2 people got back to me when I put their messages to me about their care and concern for kids with special need and special education. And oh yes, one needed money for its charity. Then it all connects, the behavior. So I'd like to pick up the conversation where we left off because the words of the Chicago Parks District is, no one will believe you and we all stick together. So is that real? Because thank you for the words. I had no words. So where did I learn words? Well, through the media bits and pieces, which is on YouTube, and all the stuff that I put online. I talked about it. I openly discussed trauma. At any point, any y'all could have picked up, but it was more about, I don't know, talking about money and all the things you get. I would have kept that to myself because bragging is really unattractive and it's part of this PTSD thing. So you have the opportunity to contact me. I will talk about it because it is a bother. And I'm picking this up with the universities. Because DePaul University did the same thing. And it clearly shows me that it will never end unless we identify it and correct it. Because you think it's fair in Chicago where there's selective enrollment high schools, where families can pay and families design a school as a vehicle to get you there. When they violate the rights of their other students, they would never be held accountable because of the way the system is and the way the people are here. There was no fear. So why did I have all of it? So this is the voice with no fear and no physical triggers. Because that was what that was as I sat there and listened. There was bullying going on. There was other stuff going on. If you want to have the conversation privately here, we will. And if not, the only thing I want to tell you publicly is I take away that champion of women and thank you so much for your work in the parks. It's not a thank you for admin department for the parks, because unless all the parks have equity, and because there's one person in Chicago Parks District that do help, it felt like somebody, and I was never able to be introduced to them, hanging on, knowing and taking advantage of my traumatic brain injury. So do you want to have the conversation public, which means I'll have it privately. Which means I'll just have it with myself, but I will get the words out because they're not mine. And you can pick up whenever you want. But I'm sharing this. Or not. Because this is the methodology to end what we know as PTSD and what I think is better called shock.
Keep doing it. 32, although he's really a 34. 30, but we'll get 32.
Beginning with Northwest. It's so easy once you have your voice and one outlet to express it. Mine happens to be writing. It's visual, audio, and tactile. And in order to write anything good, you have to hear your own voice. All right? That way I can play around with voices. Voice not is just a big first deal person, in writing. Third person. Which voice are you using? Second person? I'm talking about the tone, the dialect, and obviously the attitude, which is going to be 100% gratitude. Thanks for the conversation and the hope that maybe you're the one person, the one normal person who can recognize voice is totally different. And also, I remember it. I was there with her. It's really just I'm triggering from you all. And I'm gonna explain why. The money, the behaviors, and the tit for tat crap, which is Lincoln Park, Elcott College Prep. I was told, oh, no, I'm not that school. What are you talking about? I got yelled at because I passed out because I couldn't go to a DePaul basketball game because DePaul is a major trigger. Oh, these were free tickets. What am I supposed to do? What? And that's what the whole point is, as long as it's free. All right, everyone, how much greed do you need? And I know I'm not aiming this at you, but I am going to absolutely get out every trigger that I possibly can related to the Chicago Parks District and their lies about equity in the neighborhood I live in. Because it's the old Cabrini Green. I mentioned it to someone and they said, I don't remember that name. I've not heard that in years. And that's the point. Yeah, you just slap a name on it. Doesn't change the history. And definitely doesn't change what's happening to the people here. You can complain on someone and they can get kicked out after 3 strikes. And guess what? They couldn't even cook the food. They also were not allowed to have dogs because, dogs can mess up an owner's place. Is it really just about the investment or is it really about a home and a community? All right, board of directors, you guys are officially BOD or BOD because I use symbolism and my knowledge of writing, literacy, behavioralism, and all the education I have and my morality to say, that's wrong, guys. Hello. And why every month until the annual budget meeting, I stayed in the meeting until you heard it, and you continue to yell at me. So thank you for the domestic violence ability to discuss it. And maybe I can go get my sink fixed because that's a showroom, and that's the origin of people in cahoots. People who vouch for one another and why I understood. I'm not going to vouch for these people anymore because of my good nature, my positive attitude. If I'm with you, then I must be... If I'm with you, and this is the big thing, come on, this is what I learned in college. Meghan Markle learned the word ambition? Really? Meghan Markle didn't know the word ambition or learned the word ambition or what? I don't even care anymore. I just know that I learned that word in Chicago because it's all about money and who you date. And I said, screw that. I will focus on my internal, my schoolwork, and figuring out my passion, and then I'll date. And that's kind of what happened. So, anyway. And Meghan Markle learned the word ambition. And Meghan Markle didn't know about the word ambition until when? Ambition, I learned that word in Chicago with dating. Because women called men ambitious. That was their attractiveness. And I said, I like funny guys. I like guys I can hang with. Guys that are normal. But okay, yeah, ambitious. It's all code, like the word traditional. What does that mean? Oh, the man pays. And that's why those chicken heads squawk, so squawk, squawk, squawk every time at a restaurant. And why I can't go to a restaurant? So, okay, this is the wedding. If you were in that wedding, if you went to my wedding, then you have inside knowledge. But it's a very small few people, and they probably won't access this, nor would they be able to sit with it. And that's why there's no intention to do any harm. Just do the methodology to get it out. All right, so this message was for a specific person in mind, but it kind of got tangential, as you can hear. And that's why my words over their words, I already expect that they will not respond. If you're able to go to Facebook, one day I will share my name. There is a connection with the date today with what I did yesterday, because I checked the internet to see what happened. Every day is literally a new day. Every weekend, and that's going north into the neighborhood of violence, things started to change and things got regulated. Same thing when I started signing up for the gym during COVID. I had to go on my computer every day. It became a routine. So going to the gym really was awesome until I noticed the dust bunnies with the sign and the contradiction. And why one other origin of trauma is contradictions. My triggers are lying to my face, lying on paper, which means the things that happened in real life did not get presented exactly correct on paper. Instead, it's to cover your butt. That's the Chicago Police Department. Really, 2/3 of that report was about you, not about the actual incident, and you already made mistakes. So your listening skills are not very good. So when there's inaccurate reporting in a police report and it doesn't match what the person is saying, can we put some onus
traditional.
All right, since I am PTSD
I don't know if you
triggering
can
the
tell,
acute
but I'm
biological
sweating
symptoms, I
again.
know because I'm sweating.
I don't know if you can
That's the
tell.
first sign. And
Whoa.
increase of pain in my neck and
Sweating.
shoulders and back. And
Because of this
forcing
guy.
words out, because I do hear myself. This isn't how I normally.
How does the person
He
who
is
runs
CHA?
advocacy
How can he
group
be CHA?
not know the statute of limitation? 23
In the
years with
first
domestic
meeting.
violence, doesn't know the statute
And
of
yes,
limitation
I
for
am
rape and tells me,
biologically
oh, I'm not
PTSD
supposed to know.
So
That's
the
the detective's
first
job.
time when you're
What?
aware, you could be
So that
unaware for
disconnect.
years
So
or
why don't you
decades.
do
But when your
things
first
for your
time
community? Since I
awareness
joined
is,
these CAPS
shit,
meetings, I
is
get
sweat.
I'm not
told
gonna have this in my
repeatedly report the
goddamn
crime.
life
Forget.
anymore.
So that they can get their
Document.
funding.
Northwestern
But then what do they do once they
Hospital,
report the
Tide,
crime?
Burrell,
I'll tell you what
everything
Chicago
for
Police
Purcell.
Department did once I reported the crime. They
All right,
covered
since I am
their butt.
PTSD triggering the
All
acute
right.
biological symptoms, I know because I'm sweating. That's the first sign.
More so
Increase of
than
pain
making
in my
sure
neck.
it was
Now I know
accurate.
the first time I
And
had a
that's a
camera in
bummer.
front of my face.
All right. Thanks,
that was with
everyone.
consent, and it was
Goodbye.
different.
This has been Smarty MC with
Then you
Smarter
want
Than
to
Trauma, now
record
attaching
the next
specific
time.
people. As
When
I
you
try
start
not
to
to
say,
say
hey,
some
this will
names,
be
and
the
some
last
names I
time,
will
there
try
will
to
be
say.
no next time.
So this is an
Just say, no, there will be a
invitation.
next time.
Because
Just
some of
you're
y'all
saying
have
the
heard my
words
voice
doesn't
before.
mean it's going to come together.
Actually,
I said
all of
the
them
words
have, because
by
I gave
making
them the
another
voice
video
samples,
to
knowing
document. And now we
that
have
one
the
day I
date,
was not going
November.
to sound like that, because
So
my
I can
recovery
count
has
May,
been slow and steady
June,
over 9 years now.
July,
And that's why I'm a little
August,
over shocked.
September.
Where'd my life go?
October,
Wait,
November.
no, my life is still okay. I get the knowledge and the experience to now share. And weirdly, the first podcast that I was exposed to was Meghan Markle's. And if she's going to talk about Asian stereotypes, perfect. What about the racist comments and issues in healthcare when they didn't weigh me? And I kept saying, hi guys, I know I'm petite Asian, but you keep prescribing medications I'm not taking. And it's affecting me. I've lost so much weight.
Who takes the
And
complaints? Oh, I
this is
take
not
the complaints.
comfortable.
Really? Well, I think
And
that's
of course,
kind of
this concept of
inappropriate, and you're
feeling
telling me that
different, and then
today.
obviously the
Huh? What are you
stereotypes
talking
that
about? 'Cause I'm Asian
predatory men have tried to dump on me. So I just sort of let them keep talking. The field of tech has some pretty treacherous people. The field of banking has some pretty treacherous people. And I'm wondering if is it the money? They shared their experiences. I think it's the money. I got to live vicariously. Because someone a long time ago told me, home ownership and independence. You want women. Got to be shown to someone, and that's what they wanted. To play an entire relationship or make a lot of money. Score. Talking about a house that we were going to get. That's the whole point. All right. Because I said, hi guys, are you talking about me? Because I heard them say, see what I mean about her? When someone says about all the money I'm saving. This is the behavior interrupting to say, no. This diagnostic is ridiculous. She's not even wearing lingerie. That's when you know somebody's talking about you behind your back in front of you. And that's why the two psychiatrists, I was prepared. Because I was able to take their words. And now I'm going to give them back. No. That was somebody freaking out in a car over insurance, and the excuse was anxiety, the explanation, and the introduction of a person we call anxiety sobriety. All right? The little clues that someone's faking it. They seem more astute and aware about safety the more they drink. Well, yeah, because it gives them an excuse to say whatever they want, because wasn't that what was? Just be warned. And I said, okay, I've heard yellow fever before. Don't worry about it. But man, whenever time you hear it, it's always a bit of a shock. And I'm sure the narrative has changed quite a bit. So let's go back to the wedding of the century. Because the words were, this is ridiculous. And also, I had a wedding to occupy somebody's mind. And I'm looking out in the backyard and seeing a bunch of woods and trees and rustic stuff, brown. Because I'm in Upper Peninsula, Michigan. And when I said rustic and woodsy, I got shells. So was this wedding about me? And the nice thing is my family even said it to me. And that's the only thing that has allowed me to stay here. Their words. So the power of words and the words that people provide for you and call you. Smart, dedicated, capable, kind, independent. Those are the words that were told to me. And during one of my darkest moments, the places and spaces I went to that got me out of my house, since the whole point of seeing the family was to get a meal, but the words were in the beginning and at the end the same. Every time, a little bit of bullying, and then, of course, the question, no. And now I'm going to write. And that's why I get writing samples of my clients, people living in transitional situations. That's the way it's coming in, homeless situations. And that's the way it's going to get removed. It comes in the same way as it goes out. And it's okay. When I repeat myself, I'm really trying to hold the thought. And I'm squeezing my thigh right now and really pressing my fingers into the phone so I stay grounded. But the reality is, Johnson, Eileen Johnson, there's a bunch of people's names that are similar. Robinson, that homeless shelter north of me, and other people are making a lot of noise. A charitable fundraiser through the neighborhood. They talked about these initiatives, and I said, "Oh, great! When can I come and see them?" And they said, "Oh, they're not started yet. Oh, they're not started, etc." What's your idea to de-demonize the homeless? So I'm going to reach out to Cheryl Hamilton Hill, the CEO of that homeless shelter. Because I began to talk to her about, I'm a victim of violence here, and I do homeless advocacy myself because of my experience, and I'd like to talk to you. And she cut me off. Let's do lunch. Okay, what, at the homeless shelter to see what they do? Or you want to have lunch with me and discuss this privately, because I don't even know we can pick up where we left off. The annual fundraiser was in the fall. There were pumpkins and leaves. In my voice, because it's fall. And
So it really is being contained internet now.
I wish the best for them, I really do. But at the same time, are you really doing what you're saying you're doing? And also, I think to demonize the homeless, you have them pick up trash so people can say thank you. But the attitude of people are like,
considering
really
I went
I think
to
we need to do more.
Zoom meeting, what do you call them? Annual, monthly association meetings, board of director meetings. Except for the last one when I'm triggering because of the inability to know if things are being recorded. Because I have to rely on that if I have to go back and check your contradictions, which are constant. Why they keep adding up, it's compounded. So let's start with the office hours. I know this person doesn't work here anymore, but to tell me in an email that he manages 17 properties and then tells us in a meeting when I flat out asked him, he manages 3. Again, I go back to the board of directors where your standard of lying is different than mine. I don't like to be lied to. Also, to move someone to a different position, that way all their emails are deleted. I've already gone through this before, dealing with a parent with a child with special needs where I asked, do you have any of those emails I sent you, those weekly updates? Oh no, I deleted those. Okay. What about your husband? Oh no, he changed jobs, so he doesn't have those emails anymore. Strange. When I'm looking at a school where parents and administration work in tandem because they're marketing this school. Now, they did get rid of the lottery, and they did cram the school with neighborhood kids, and they did put a sign for disability and maybe change the entrance. So that's great that they made those changes, but it's better if you acknowledge the question of safety and violation of rights with kids with special needs in the moment when I'm in a federal court case, because you've now not given them a classroom. That looks like you don't want the truth to be told, and you can make up a narrative, and I don't like that. I like people to be honest, because honesty is the best way to figure out our issues and to deal with them. Right? All right. Thanks, y'all.
This is incredible. Can I stand on something? I can't see.
Oh yeah, you can get right up on top of it.
Holy crap. I'm not doing, oh, there is something. No, it's a better angle.
I created a lot of material. I wouldn't call it content exactly, but I knew that if I created a system to hold the PTSD triggers, then there would always be a record. And if I ever lost my voice, maybe they could string together my voice from all these snippets. Also, it was a way to remove the acute biological symptoms of PTSD, which was several times a day, hour by hour, moment by moment, affecting my night, my day, but also making me relive something. The sensation from nerve radiculopathy will be something that, all right, let's start over. Actually, no, I don't have to start over, but I do have to keep this authentic, and that's when your train of thought disappears. This is something I never struggled with. So being in a healthcare system that's asking me how I felt different, if I had a learning disability, if there was issues when my parents divorced, or geez, the sexual assaults that happened to me in the past, more than 3 decades ago. Yeah, not at all. This all happened because I was assaulted at work and exposed to discrimination and retaliation against kids with special needs and people with disability. That's it. But that question of difference was a re-trigger to somebody telling me about how his family hates difference before I met them. Now. It's a little bit of an odd thing to say, but I think he was warning me in case somebody said something quite a bit. And it's an interesting dynamic to witness. A meltdown. That happened over again. And the last time
I was
wasn't
with him, like when everyone saw
that's
it.
why the words
couldn't hide it anymore.
now
Said in front of me. Guess what they did? Because both of them were like, "What the fuck was that?" It is so strong, and the audio is ridiculous. This word comes up later.
during a wedding.
Visual memory on replay is someone walking away.
We have these certain patterns to show our emotion, show what we're thinking. I'm ready to share it all. That's one of my sites because the trigger was share it all, share it all, share it all. And I kept saying, no, I have to understand what I can share, because when people have lots to lose, they start making decisions like what I witnessed in my house. Making these decisions because they were convinced I would never talk, because I never had to explain sexual assault that happened to me 3 decades ago. Only one person in the world knew how they utilized tech and the exact words to absolutely re-trigger my fear. All right, this is the intro for how to throw a small wedding. I had my wedding attendant. You gotta think a little. So let's get a driver and let's have them on call so people can drink as much as they want and they have no concern. The interesting thing was the few things that I did want at my wedding.
All right, since I am PTSD
I don't know if you can
triggering
tell,
the acute
but I'm
biological
sweating
symptoms, I
again.
know because I'm sweating.
I don't know if you can
That's the
tell.
first sign. And
Whoa.
the crease of pain in my neck
Sweating.
and shoulders and back and
Because of this
forcing
guy.
words out, because I do hear myself. This isn't how I normally speak.
He is CHA. How can he be CHA when he's talked about all you want to do is sell property here? You said that in the first meeting. In the first meeting.
Again.
And yeah,
First sign of
I am
Absolutely
absolutely
PTSD
PTSD
this
triggered.
away. So the first time when you're aware, you could be unaware for years or decades, but when your first time awareness is, oh shit,
Is sweat.
I'm not gonna have this in my
Don't
goddamn life
forget,
anymore.
this happened
Document it.
at
Thank
Northwestern
goodness
Memorial
for the
Hospital
internet
with
that will
Ty
timestamp
Burrell, whatever his name
everything
is.
for.
Purcell.
All right, since I am PTSD triggering the acute biological symptoms, I know because I'm sweating. That's the first sign. The crease of pain in my neck. So now we know the first time I had a camera in front of my face that was with consent and it was different. Then you want to record the next time. When you start to say, hey, this will be the last time, there will be no next time. Just so you know, there will be a next time. Just because you're saying the words doesn't mean it's gonna come together. I said the words by making another video to document. And now we have the date, November. So I can count May, June, July, August, September, October, November-ish. 6 months later. So in 6 months' time, if I want to use statistics, people that have access to the building, you're trying to change my narrative, which is a goddamn trigger. G.D. Phoney, J.D. Salinger. He was in war